today's culture. Duct tape. Now, there's some people who might think duct tape's pretty well indestructible, you can do anything with it, right? Well, I'm going to compare it to God's power and how limitless they both are. I want to focus on 5 main points today. Fixing your heart, fixing your daily problems, controlling your hands, controlling your tongue, and taking them both into battle with you. The first thing I want to talk to you guys today about is fixing your heart. Psalms 147:3 says, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." Well, when I was a little kid, I had this toy truck I always loved to play with I got for Christmas one year. Well, my dad, he's a decent guy. He's right there in the back of the room if you're looking. He's pretty big. Well, he steps on the truck. Needless to say, it didn't turn out well for the truck. Well, he tried to duct tape it that night, and it somewhat held together. It was a temporary fix, but it worked, so you can say duct tape helped this little boy's heart together that night. Next thing I want to talk about is controlling your tongue. Alright, everybody's seen the movies where, like, the bank robber tapes the teller's mouth shut, right? Well, that's pretty smart because if you don't tape her mouth shut, she's going to scream and the cops will hear it and they'll be here in like 2 seconds. Well, James 3:5-8 talks about how the tongue is an evil thing and is hard to control. It also says that it is spark of the great forest fire that is evil. God can completely help us control our tongue when we should and shouldn't be using it. Right along with the point just before this, controlling your hands. Just like the point before this, after the bank robber tapes the teller's mouth shut, he also tapes her hand behind her back. Now, all these days, I got the electric button. You hit one button, cops are there in like 2 seconds. Well, sometimes God needs to do the same thing. Like in Galatians 5:22-24 talks about the fruit of the Spirit. One of them is self-indulgence. As a Christian, our actions are really important in our day-to-day lives and showing our Jesus' love to those around us. God is all about helping us do the right things we should and shouldn't do in this case. Next point I want to talk about is fixing your daily problems. Matthew 6:25-6:30 talks about God giving the birds and the lilies a place to live and things to feed on. And if God's going to do that for the lilies and for the birds, why wouldn't he do that for us? I mean, we're a lot more important than I think a plant and a bird. So, yeah. Very similar. Duct tape tends to come in handy for some immediate fixes. Like, the other day I ripped this coat up, so I had to kind of duct tape this, duct tape my pockets here. You can see my knees, got a hole there, duct tape my shoe shut because it's starting to fall apart. I got a hole right at one of my butt. Well, I don't know which one it is, but yep. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is taking both of them into battle with you. During the Vietnam War, according to Wikipedia, I mean, you can't trust everything on Wikipedia, but most times it's right, but you can't trust all the time. Helicopter pilots would keep a roll of duct tape just in case like one of their rotors or something would get broken, so they could bounce them out or even sometimes repair the complete thing. Well, God also takes us into battle. Comes through just when we need him to. Just like in the story of David and Goliath in 1 Samuel 17-18, David took the Lord into battle with just a sling and a few pebbles. He slew the giant when no one else would. Well, that's my main points. Obviously, God has more power than duct tape. I mean, duct tape's an object you can buy. You can't buy God's love and forgiveness. Well, one thing that God can do that duct tape cannot do is forgive us of our sins. Romans 3:23 tells us that for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. But thankfully, in 1 John 1:9, it says, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us of our sins and to cleanse us of all unrighteousness. If we say that we have not sinned, we make him a liar and his word is not in us. So therefore, if we confess our sins, he is faithful to us. And if you have not done this now, it is a perfect time to commit yourself to a limitless and most powerful God in the world. I mean, there's some other religions that might think that's true, but no, not even close compared to our God. Thank you.
Yeah,
Dude.
Your time was 4:50, so it's perfect.